It is indeed an honor to be pastor of such a historical church. It's American history, but it's also welcoming people from all backgrounds, expressing their faith generation to generation.
Holy Trinity is the oldest Catholic church in continuous operation in the District of Columbia. Founded in 1787 by Jesuit priests and brothers, its parishioners have included presidents and enslaved people alike. Prior to Trinity's founding, Catholic churches were outlawed in Maryland. Despite this, Maryland Catholics maintained their faith practices in private, often celebrating the sacraments and manners owned by the Jesuits, a religious order of priests and brothers who administered in the colony since 1634. Also known as the Society of Jesus, the Jesuits were founded in 16th century Spain by the soldier-turned-mystic Ignatius of Loyola. After independence was declared in 1776, a new chapter of Catholic toleration began in the United States. The Jesuits, under the direction of Bishop John Carroll, set out to build a church and America's first Catholic college in the busy port city of Georgetown.
So what happened, the Protestant businessman Thraukeld was in Georgetown, and it was sort of going to the dogs with gambling and a lot of fast living here. And he got the word down to the Jesuits. He said, hey, you should come up here. If you come up here, I'll give you land. And they built the chapel. So the chapel was first, and then obviously the College of Georgetown followed from that.
Holy Trinity's first church building, which still serves as the parish's chapel, was built in 1794 and became the first church where Catholics could worship publicly. The congregation was diverse from the start, though not without its problems of racial injustice. A third of parishioners were African American, the majority of which were enslaved. The first couple to marry at Holy Trinity were noted in church records as David Thomas and Phyllis, property of Elizabeth Coyle of Georgetown. The rest of the congregation was composed of wealthy old-line Maryland Catholics, Irish laborers, and German craftsmen traveling from wide geographic areas in Maryland and Virginia. Trinity's growth correlated with the development of Georgetown College. The church's first pastor, Father Francis Neal, also served as Georgetown's president on 2 occasions, and the close relationship between the church and college continues to this day.
From the beginning, Holy Trinity had close ties with Georgetown University, and its students were obliged to come to Sunday Mass here and would come down in formation to attend Mass.
To meet the needs of the growing Catholic population in the Washington area, Holy Trinity pastor Benedict Fenwick opened up the Free School for Boys in 1818, known today as Holy Trinity School. Having outgrown the original 1794 building, parishioners built a second, larger church structure, only 35 years after the construction of the first. In 1862, following the Second Battle of Bull Run, the United States government requisitioned the main church for use as a military hospital. In the 3 months following the battle, more than 200 sick and wounded Union soldiers were treated at Holy Trinity.
President Lincoln visited the sick here, and we know for certain that he attended a funeral here in the church.
It's amazing church. I think every president since then has somehow got into that church, be they Catholic or not Catholic.
As my uncle was elected president, the fact that he was a worshiping Catholic, that he was a practicing Catholic, that he was a Catholic was itself a hurdle. And as the seated President of the United States, also cleared the burden, I think, of some prejudice and some degree of mistrust of the Catholic tradition. And I think in this place he worshiped and probably found the right balance between the deep commitments of the faith and the equally important commitments in public life.
The 20th century proved to be a time of rapid change. 2 new buildings were constructed for Holy Trinity School in 1918. The school began offering instruction to both boys and girls, with enrollment growing to over 500 students. Tuition was free for baptized children of parishioners, while non-Catholics were charged $1 per month. All but one teacher was a nun. Starting in the mid-1960s, the effects of the Second Vatican Council were felt in both the parish and the school.
Our congregation tends to be very forward-looking, and so eagerly adopted the reforms of the Second Vatican Council, not only here in the sanctuary where adornments and gewgaws were taken away, but in the way the parish is organized, in the way the parish is run, in the way that parishioners engage with the parish as equals and as full members of the parish.
A strong example of lay collaboration developed at the parish level, and the number of groups and activities grew exponentially, currently totaling over 90 programs.
It's rooted in a tradition of 225 years, but it has a trajectory through innovative ways of bringing the faith into the 21st century.